The next news story that we have in our final news story before we go into the things that I've been doing is that Damon Lindelof, or as we put it, Damon Lindelololof, he got tongue tied. I'm gonna, make him. I'm gonna pick on him for it. Has pretty much confirmed that they're starting production of the Watchmen TV series over at HBO. He posted on his Instagram a picture that you just see of a statue of feet, and it says "In Gratitude," which is an homage to the trophy that was given to Night Owl in the original Watchmen pages. And I'm a little bit more excited for this just because of all the things that were with the Watchmen in that Watchmen universe that it seems like that they could play with. But at the same time, I am leery because, we did have the Zack Snyder 2009 Watchmen movie, which a lot of people didn't like. It sort of seems like, hey guys, let's not touch this franchise sort of deal. But I don't know. I want your opinion on this because I think you've read the Watchmen comic. I have still to read it.
Yeah, man, that's one of those things that I got all the way to almost the end and just was like,
I'll imagine my own ending.
That's kind of what they did for the movie. So I will start off with the first caveat of Lindelof is not always my favorite creator. I hear that The Leftovers improved greatly after the first season. My wife watched that. I wasn't going to watch it and didn't because I wasn't really interested in his work. But after things like Star Trek Into Darkness, Cowboys and Aliens, his plot holes all over the fucking place on Lost.
Basically what I'm hearing from you is you're like, Damon Lindelof's doing something. You're not going to trick me again.
It's like I'm not chasing down his work. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
The other thing is Watchmen is one of those books that is hugely popular because of when it came out and what it did. It was a revolutionary comic at a time when comics needed to change and grow up. And it and The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller were the starting point of a huge change of comics. Now, I don't love the direction that comics went in from that. I think a lot of the things that they changed, it was too much. And Alan Moore, as the creator of the book, has said that too. He's like, everything tried to be what we did, and that's not what we intended. And I think it was the wrong direction. So making very, very intelligently, we see this play out, making Superman into a Watchmen character, doing a Watchmen style story with Superman is not a good move. So having the guy who directs Watchmen then go on to direct Superman, probably not a good move. Certain characters worked for it. The characters that he used worked for it because they were created for it, even though they were ripoffs of charlatan characters. I get the love of Watchmen in the original work. I don't get the love of Watchmen 30 years later, and you can't really expand upon it. There could never be a Watchmen sequel in the comics because that was part of the deal that Alan Moore had with DC. That's why they did before Watchmen, because, hey, fuck you, Alan Moore, in a series of fuck you, Alan Moore that DC has done.
Isn't that their tagline?
Kind of. I know that HBO is hungry for mature themed series that they can do. And Watchmen certainly didn't do all it could with the movie, trying to be compressed down into a 2-hour plus film with a big blue dick. So as a 10-episode maxi series, or even a 12-episode, one for each issue, if you want to add on a little bit more because of the side stories and stuff like that, sure, it could be something. But I'm just not interested in seeing it again. I'm not interested in seeing the movie because the comic was the comic. And you can't do, I think, in any filming, what was done with the comic. Because in some ways, the comic is magical. It is a masterpiece work. Even me not loving it, I still appreciate what it did. The story is the way that Dave Gibbons drew the artwork the same, so that if you're reading it forwards and backwards, you're seeing the panels go in like a big fucking palindrome. It was incredible. There's little things that you'll pick up on by your 3rd, 5th, 10th reading that you won't have picked up on any time before that. It's a work of art. It is a work of actual artistry, not just an artist drew this. And that's from someone who's not really appreciative of it. But everybody wants to make Watchmen because Watchmen was to them the greatest thing ever. It's like, but if you keep dipping your pen into that well, the ink becomes more and more diluted.
Yeah.
And the payoff is not there. And it's again, it hasn't been long enough since there was a Watchmen film that I don't know that we need a Watchmen, other than the fact you think you can do it better. And maybe Lindelof can do it better than Snyder did, but no one can do it better than Moore and Gibbons did.
Yeah,
and so there's that. If you want to know who watches a Watchmen, probably not me.
I'm cautiously optimistic with this. I try not to poo-poo things as that are being developed, because
and that's a good attitude. That is the right attitude.
No, yeah, because part of it's like, well, who the fuck am I to say that? But along the same lines, it's one of those, very similar to what talking about the earlier news stories. It's like, well, if this were to fail, then you sort of go, well, maybe we should just leave Watchmen alone.
Yeah, it's the Britney Spears of comic properties.
So so the Watchmen is just performing over and over again at one of the hotels in Las Vegas.
Yeah, whenever I talk about stuff like this, I can't see the future. I can't say for sure that this thing's gonna suck. I can go off of my past experiences and say that I'm not excited about it. Here are the reasons why. But don't let me tell you what you should or shouldn't like.
No,
we're an opinion show. Yeah. We're definitely an opinion show. We do reviews and stuff like that, but reviews it's not a magical score on Rotten Tomatoes. And you see that all the time. Like the Rotten Tomatoes review score from film reviewers, from critics, versus the score of people who went and saw it. And they're very, very different from each other. And that's good. That's healthy. We don't want to be in a non-democratic worldview of, oh, you tell me this is bad, well, then I'm going to assume that it's bad, because that fucks everything up for everyone. Individual choice is beautiful.
I always look at reviews like this. I never look at Rotten Tomatoes or, any of these other places that that will do a review on a thing and give it a point system and go solely off of that. Like, oh, well, Rotten Tomatoes gave Kingsman: The Golden Circle 35%, so I'm not going to go see that. But then they gave this other movie 98, and I'm going to go see that. No, I'm going to go either based off of my own interest from, hearing the people talk about it or what it's based off of, or, seeing trailers, or the other one, and where I will see movies that I typically wouldn't see from my friends. I wouldn't at all want to see it unless with Corey, with you saying stuff, good things about it, and my friends at work saying good things about it, I'm still planning on seeing it. Now, my friend who is like a really big horror movie fan, she's like, I told her what I said when you reviewed it. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably wait until I can watch it in the day, just because I know how my mind works. It's like, even if it's not scary, she's like, it's not scary. I'm like, you don't know how my mind works. I will take the tiniest thing and stretch it and all that.
There's something that I should probably say too, is that some of my favorite people, some of the people that I love, like they were family to me. And that includes people like you and Beat. It includes people like Matt and Nate and Brandon over at Ink Geek. Like Nate and I have very different tastes in movies. And Nate's a guy who loves what he loves. And a lot of the stuff he loves is not to my taste. But I could watch a movie and pick up on, Nate would really like this. I'm not digging it, but I'm pretty sure Nate would dig it. And same with you, is like, all right, this is not for me, but I think Gregor would enjoy this. And part of that is because I worked in a comic store for a long time, and people come in and I find out about these people and their interests and stuff, and I pick comics that I think that they would enjoy. And I would say, here, check this out. That is the best part of working in a comic store, is finding that item that somebody then loves and they become a huge fan of, and they come back to you every week and like, I thank you so much for turning me on to Strangers in Paradise, or thank you so much for introducing me to this Vertigo book, or whatever it is, because you share something with them. And again, it doesn't have to be my favorite book. I'm not necessarily handing you something that I love. It's like, oh, I love Preacher. Your 10-year-old daughter would really dig this book. It's maybe she would. I'd have to meet her, but we'd probably need, someone from the city to like monitor the whole thing. I get that Watchmen is not a story that I like, because there's a lot of aspects of the Watchmen story that I'm not into. And there are things that are hard for me to get into shows that I honestly enjoy. Like I love a lot of Game of Thrones, but there's also a lot of Game of Thrones that I don't love. And that maybe if I'd started all over again, I wouldn't have chosen to make Game of Thrones one of my must-watch TV shows, because they're just harder things for me to. Westworld is another one. Westworld does a lot of vile stuff in that show that really turns me off in an otherwise impeccably acted and shot and written show. And it's like, sometimes the themes are so overwhelming that I can't enjoy what is otherwise a great piece of art. And I kind of have to pick and choose on like the things that I'm going to invest myself in. It's like, yeah, this is going to be a hard watch, but I think I'm still going to get enough out of it that it's going to be worth it in the end. And for me, what Watchmen is not going to be worth it. But other people don't have a problem with the themes, or other people might think that it is worth it. That's the whole point. You know, you, I think, would probably enjoy a Watchmen series, and I don't have a problem with that. You know, I'll kid around, I'll tell you that you're wrong.
No, yeah.
But I don't believe that. And you know, I don't believe
I do that all the time.
Seems funny, but I'm a fucking long-haired, bearded guy who grew up in the 80s and listened to a little too much hair metal. And now I do podcasts and I work in IT. I'm a fucking stereotype in a lot of ways. You know, and I don't apologize for it. And people still manage to somewhat respect me and deal with my shit on a regular basis. It's not like it's the biggest turnoff in the world to everybody. I'm sure to some people it is. I don't care. You know, I am who I am. I'm not pretentious about it because I just like what I like.
I feel like a Sailor Man.
Yeah, and a lot of other people you look at and you say, oh, well, you like these things, you must be very pretentious about it. No, that's not an automatic. That's just who you are.
Yeah, I find myself straddling that line really closely because it's like I'm not pretentious, I am passionate about the things that I like. And it's like I have that exact opposite when people will recommend something to me and I do check it out or I do, read it, like I did last week on the episode or the latest episode that got released of the Galactic Radio comic book thing that I do, that I need to come up with a clever name for. The 2 comic books I picked that I reviewed, I didn't pick out. Cody from the comic book store, which just moved around the corner to a bigger space. I haven't been in it yet. I'm going Friday, but I saw the pictures. I'm like, finally, why couldn't we do this before Free Comic Book Day? Because it's more room. It's like I could actually see walking in there and hanging out for a second and not being like, hey, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Yeah. Oh, who's that? Sorry, whose kid is this? Sort of deal, But with Cody, because he recommended the book from Image Comics, Scales and Scoundrels. I started reading it and then I did as I was talking about it, I got the author and I'm like, oh, that's why he recommended Scales and Scoundrels. Because it's written by the same guy who does Shirtless Bear Fighter, and he loves Shirtless Bear Fighter. So I'm like, I went in there and I told him, like, I see why you picked Skills and Scoundrels. He's like, what? I'm like, written by the same guy who does Shirtless Bear Fighter. He's like, yep. And it's a joke. I love that book. Skills and Scoundrels actually, if I'm completely honest, does sort of I do sort of now want to check out Shirtless Bear Fighter because I love how this book read. And also, I will say this, for more of that, go check out that episode. It aired past couple days. I think Dave released it. I always look at this like I have that opposite thing where I can tell. I'm like, oh, this is why Corey would say I'd like this show. And also, I can pick up on writing cues now a little bit because I've been hanging out with you. And I'm like, oh, so this is gonna be the twist right here. And there's the twist. Thank you.
There is something disappointing about having consumed so much media over time that you can pick it apart. Yeah. If you're a creator, that's good because you can then take that and try to apply it to your own things that you make. And if you're searching to try to make something that's commercial, or if you're trying to make something of a certain style, then it may be easier for you to take that. And it's not always. It's definitely not always. I've watched so much TV and so many movies. You think I'd be able to write a damn good story. I'm still not there yet. That there's still other exercise that have to be done, other hours that be put in to make that happen. When I see something that people like, it's like my wife in her horror movies. She'll watch any goddamn horror movie. She'll watch them over and over again. And I know which ones she's going to actually enjoy and pay attention to, and which one she's going to say, well, this is fucking stupid, and be glad to change it or turn it off when it's done. But then she'll still go back to it later on. I can say, yeah, this is shit. This is absolutely shit. But I can also see the ones that I think are shit that she will still love.
Yeah.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.